My name's Nathan Adolfson. I just graduated from UCLA with a film degree. My senior film was supposed to be about racism. It turned out to be what can best be described as a violent experimental film. I was thinking about staying another year at UCLA, but my parents, who live in Minnesota, weren't willing to pay for another year.
Film school. I mean, it's probably very normal to people in California saying, I'm in film school. It's odd. It's very odd. I mean, good grief. How many people do we know that go to film school?
Well, you still haven't got a job yet, so let's see if you made the right choice.
Mm-hmm.
You know, the verdict is still out.
Yeah, that's the thing. Can you
And then if you can pay me back the money you owe me, then I'll really like you.
Instead of paying my father back, I decided to take out a student loan and study abroad for 6 months in Korea. The only preparation I've had for this trip is a Lonely Planet Travel Korea book, which I bought 3 days ago on sale. I'm still trying to convince myself that I'm really on my way to Korea. I used to get really uncomfortable when I was in the same room with another Korean person. Now, I'm somewhat fascinated by them. As I walk through the official arrival doors of Korea, the irony hits me. The last time I was here, I was going to a strange land filled with strange people. So how do you think I'm going to react to Korea?
I think you're going to have definite culture shock. I mean, coming from Minnesota to California, coming from Minnesota going to California is culture shock, and then going from California to Korea. I will be very interested to hear what you have to say when you come home.
The culture over there is what's really going to be fascinating to me. You know, more so than maybe the people. You know, just the tradition.
Here we are on the bus. Do you finally feel like you're in Korea?
No.
Well, we're not.
Even though I'm older than most of the students in the program, I decided to stay in the international dorm. The dorm has its share of unique pleasures. It has locks on the doors after midnight, locks on the toilet paper dispensers, no locks or doors on the bathroom stalls, and of course, the cello-playing neighbor, room 312. During my stay in the dorms, one of the guards found human feces in the phone booth. The program itself, it reminds me much of high school. Except now I have a camera to record my alienation. One of the few upsides to the program is the campus. Surprisingly, it's much like the brochure described. Except for one thing. Yonsei is the center for the militant student movement for democratic reforms in Korea. About once a month, the front gate is turned into a war zone. The irony of the situation is that most of these students come from wealthy families. Families who are part of the system they're trying to change. A system they have benefited from their entire lives. As I'm watching it, it doesn't seem real. That is until the smoke and tear gas start cutting off the air to my lungs. Then it becomes real. It becomes real, and it becomes clear that I don't know what I'm doing here. Not only at this demonstration, but here in Korea. This is Anoka, Minnesota. This was my world as a child. It's a small town on the Mississippi River, where everything's simple. Well, not everything. This is the Adolfsons. This is my family.
Try another profession, Katie. Comedy.
My father, Brooke, he doesn't talk too much. My mother, Kathy, some people say she talks too much.
I wasn't even sure who that was.
Are you sure? Oh.
Yeah, that's why
My brother, Matt,
That guy you met
he's a construction
when
worker.
We ran into met players from Mall of America.
My sister, Kirsten.
This is like,
Well, it's best not to try to describe Kirsten.
Sporting goods.
And me,
Fishing lures. Shot.
I'm the adopted kid that lives in California.
Oh God, the possibilities are limitless. Are you all ready?
Growing up, I used to think we were the perfect American family.
we want full body shot now. Suck it in, Brooke. Come on.
Till I realized I was adopted. I was born in Incheon, Korea, as Cho Ji-man. I lived as Ji-man until age 3. That's when my father, Chung Kil-cho, died. Several months after his death, my mother, Won-ok-sun, brought me to an orphanage. Can you remember the first time you saw me?
Oh, I thought, geez, he's fat, and you were hot and sweaty, and you'd been bawling, and you had all these clothes on, and you were not happy, and you were being passed from one person to another, and I thought to myself, geez, he's chubby. That was my first thought.
I remember this little fat thing in this red Santa suit coming out and Dad laughing. Mom fed you fried rice and egg foo young the first night you were there. You wouldn't sleep on the floor. You wouldn't sleep in the bed. I think Dad spanked you.
I remember you standing in the corner talking Korean. You wouldn't say anything, and all of a sudden you just let out this chatter and just start yelling.
Yeah, I think the first year was maybe a little rough. Dad had a hard time with the first year.
What were you thinking?
Huh?
Were you concerned?
I don't know
This
if
was
I
the
was as
right thing?
concerned as you were.
Who, me?
Yeah.
I can't even remember.
Oh, you had trouble. Well, Dad likes kids to mind, and he couldn't make you do what he wanted you to do, and I think he was concerned that are we going to have a problem forever with this kid. But I don't know. I guess maybe I dealt with ornery Matthew for all these years, so I probably wasn't too terribly concerned with another ornery kid.
Yeah. I wasn't expecting to have a deep connection with Korea, but I was expecting to have some connection. I decided to stay for another 6 months to prove to myself that I can make it work here. The first thing I do is move out of the dorms and into a hasuk, better known to non-Korean speakers as a boarding house. The thought of living on linoleum intrigues me, That first weekend, the other tenants of the boarding house threw a room welcoming party for me and 2 other dormitory defectors. The other dormitory defectors are Grace, a girl from the bus, and who I knew from America,
Like
and
that.
Junie,
Ended up
who I've
sounding
just
like
met,
hot kiss.
but instantly connect with.
So give me a hot kiss.
Everyone seems really nice and genuinely interested in why we're in Korea. Well, at least that's what I think they're saying. Because I'm living in such luxury, I'm forced to take on several part-time jobs teaching English. Teaching turns out to be one of my favorite things I do in Korea.
I will go to America.
So how many hours do you study a week?
110.
110 hours
Yeah,
a week?
maybe.
I do have one student who is a little strange.
But I mean, I never thought of you as being different. I never thought of you as being anything other than my brother. And the only reason why I knew you were Korean was because of when my friends would say things. And I remember this asshole, I never liked him anyway, was drunk. And he was at our house and he was calling you Long Duck Dong. And I just thought that was terrible. I didn't really probably defend you like I should have.
No, I think it was hard once we got older. We didn't have much in common, but when we were younger, I thought we got along pretty good. You know, you didn't. I don't know. You didn't seem like you like. Well, you liked the outdoors, but you just didn't do as much. You know? So that was kind of different to get along. No, but all in all, I had a pretty good time. We had our differences, but nothing real drastic. I don't think. I don't think I was too mean to you.
Yeah. Were you beating me up at all?
Oh, I never really beat you up. Just picked on you. Or do you think I beat you up?
Oh, I remember a couple times you beat me up pretty good. Bloody noses.
Well, you just touch your nose and it bleed, though.
I guess I just really didn't think it was that much of you were having problems. Because you never said anything. Never said a word. You know, when we asked you when you were younger if you wanted to be involved in some of these groups and you didn't. You had people in school that were Asian and you didn't want anything to do with them. You went out of your way, I think, to avoid them. You wanted to pretend that you weren't different.
I saw a little different picture sometimes.
And we probably did try to just raise you as being too American, you know, or too,
Well,
I mean, I don't know, maybe we weren't sensitive enough to your
Not really.
your heritage. We just tried to maybe turn you into a little Scandinavian.
The main reason I don't drop out of the program is that I've joined an international club made up of Korean and foreign students. It's basically a strange drinking club. But after endless weekends of drunken slumber parties, I begin to think there has to be more to Korea. In early spring, I go to Jeju Island, a romantic island getaway off the coast of Korea. I go with Junie, the girl from the boarding house, and now my girlfriend. I really like Junie, but she comes from a very traditional Korean family. When they find out that she's dating me, they insist that she breaks up with me. The reasons being that I'm an aspiring filmmaker and that I'm adopted, which means I don't have a good bloodline. As I was sitting alone in a restaurant one night, Kia, a girl with a strange accent began a conversation with me. We begin to talk, and I find out that she's adopted, and that she came here with other adoptees.
No, I had it a lot earlier because I was one of the pioneers. I was one of the first 8 or 10 Korean adoptees.
Oh, really?
Yeah, in Denmark. So I was, it was a little bit more tough for me when I was younger. They didn't know what adoptees was, Koreans or anything.
From kindergarten, that step from kindergarten to school, first grade. I think you discover your Korean at that time, actually. Because all the other children in school, they're like, hey, you must be Chinese girl.
I couldn't understand how they could see it. Everybody was asking where I came from, and I was counting eyes and noses. I really thought I looked exactly like everybody else, and I really asked my mother many times, how can they see it? How can they see I look different? I mean, I knew I was Korean, but I had no idea that I looked that much different. But that was only when I was younger.
I guess most of the kids that I have known, or parents of children I have known that have adopted children, the kids have problems. And I suppose maybe it wasn't the thing to do. But you will not be able to form an idea of which is better, here or staying back there, until you've gone there and seen. And then you'll have to make that judgment.
After watching the children for over 5 hours, I realize the children are somewhat bored. All they do every day is play amongst themselves. If you're forced to do anything every day, it can turn into a nightmare. I begin volunteering at the orphanage once a week. Because I don't remember anything about my time in the orphanage, I want to learn everything about these children and their time here. I realize something the day I see a child who's spending his first day in the orphanage. I realize all these children have been through the same thing as this child. Then it slowly sinks in. I too have been through the same thing. In some strange way, it is comforting to know that he'll get through this, just as the other children did, just as I did. After almost 10 months in Korea, I feel I'm ready to go to Incheon, the seaside city in which I was born. When I arrive, all my previous beliefs are confirmed. I remember nothing. Incheon is just another Korean city. In many ways, Incheon is my last hope in remembering anything about Korea. I now know I'll never really feel connected with this country. Lutheran Social Services of Minnesota has received the enclosed communications in a memorandum for Korean Social Services. Contact was made with Korea Social Services from the Korean family. They are wanting information about how you, your child, are doing and would appreciate some communication in return. You may send... I received this letter several weeks after returning from Incheon. The original date on this letter is 1986. I tell Kia about the letter, and she introduces me to a friend of hers, and who at the present time is producing a show about adoption.
And just want to call you because something about you about you find your parents? Okay, we found your sister, elder sister. So she really wants to.
I think that you're a survivor. I tell everybody that. You know, you have an ability to make things work one way or another. I mean, that's a gift in itself, is being able to be that survivor, you know, to make it work. A lot of people can't do that. A lot of people would get depressed and say, what's the use?
I'm going to cry.
Why are you going to cry?
I'm just going to cry. This is getting to me.
I might have to go make my calls, seeing that you're crying now.
Well, anyway, sorry. Moms are allowed to cry, aren't they? Yeah, thank you. No, I'm very proud of you. I'm so proud to say that you have done well, and I think you're happy now, and I am.
I know I've caused Mom and Dad a lot of pain, but I've also seen Mom cry over some of the things that you've said. And I understand that being Asian is important, but you're also Nathan Adolfson, a part of the Adolfson family.
I feel like I'm not ready to meet my sister. Yet fate or God is telling me that it's time. I think we need to go downstairs. I don't see it. Where are they? Oh shit. I think they have a camera here too. Oh.
한눈에 알아볼 수 있으리라 장담을 했건만
예. 저지만. 예.
저지만?
예.
그러니?
예.
어디? 키가 많이 안 컸구나.
그간의 세월이 너무 길었던가요. 눈물로 인사할까봐 참 많이 더 걱정했던 누나입니다.
I'm still not sure what I feel. I understand very little of what she just said.
태어났을 때, 막 태어났을 때, 그때 내가 너 처음 봤거든. 너 굉장히 눈도 맑았고, 태어나자마자 너무너무 또랑또랑했어.
What I do know is I don't want to be in front of this department store. And I wish there wasn't a camera in my face.
알겠지? 내 브라더. 제일 큰 형. 둘째 브라더. 그래. 그리고
남아있는 누나와 형은 택시 뒷창으로 울부짖으며 떠나가던 3살박이의 마지막 모습을 21년 만에 만남 그리고 마주한 밥상. 그 오랜 기다림을 견뎠으니 오늘은 지만이가 마음껏 웃어도 되겠죠.
네, 배고파서 떠났던 그 입양길, 지금은 쇠고기 서근을 간단히 얘기할 수 있는 그런 세상이 됐습니다. 이렇게 만났으니 얼마나 좋겠습니까? 좀 잠시 얘기하겠습니다. 축하합니다. 예? 축하합니다. 네, 이렇게 드시고, 네, 악수도 좀 하시고. 누나가 참 미인이시죠?
Your sister is very pretty.
예뻐요.
네, 예뻐요. 우리말 조금 아직 하는군요. 아, 그래. 얘기 많이 나눴습니까?
When the circus ends, I become a little sad. Sad to know that I'll never meet my Korean mother or father, people who are now more than words on a piece of paper. It makes me sad to know that my mother was sick for many years before her death in 1986, and that my aunt took me to the orphanage without my mother's knowledge. My mother never had a chance to say goodbye. It also makes me sad to know that my sister had to drop out of school at age 10 so she could take care of me and my mother, and that she still feels a great sense of guilt because she wasn't able to take care of us both. But I have been given a new family, and I now know I need to learn about my new Korean family, as well as my true family back in Minnesota. And when a person's life is filled with as many contradictions as mine is, these relationships aren't going to be discovered overnight, as we all like to watch on television. It isn't right or wrong. It's just the way it is.